Well, greetings, amazing students, and welcome to another lesson for lifespan development. I'm excited for today's topic. I know I say that a lot about all our lessons, but I truly am excited for today's topic because I try to utilize this lesson to have a little bit of fun at this point during the term. I know that some of the lessons can be difficult. I know some of them can be a little heavy in their content, but this one today I hope to make a little fun. So today what we're going to be doing is talking about dating and sexual orientation, but for the focus of this part of the lesson, we will be focusing on dating, and then later to come will be sexual orientation and gender expression. So for an overview of the lesson, I'm going to move through these bullet points here. And then what I would like to do is in the next slide, we are going to pick up with a funny video, something lighthearted to address the dating scene. And we're going to tie this in all to lifespan development. All right. So the function of dating, right? We think about in our head when we, go out and date someone, or we're interested in dating someone, we have some preconceived notions of what dating is, right? And sometimes that notion of what we believe dating to serve as a function may or may not align with society's view of what dating is. But in the concept of lifespan development, dating actually serves a specific function in our lives. And so the basic function of dating, all right, is to learn how to establish intimacy with one another, right? Up until the point where we decide to start dating, we may have some notions of intimacy and our idea of a relationship, but we've not tested those waters, right? So some of the areas where our idea of relationships have come from have been from observing our relationships within our family unit and our friends. So parents, relationships, right? Older siblings, cousins, right? But we also begin to understand the notion of intimacy and dating in relationships from societal views. And so up until this point, though, those are all ideas until we've actually placed this into action, and dating serves that function. So dating has other functions too, right? We see dating as an opportunity for entertainment. It can be status, establishing one's own self confidence and self-worth. And so we know that in those younger years, when we're much younger, other people pay attention to who we date, right? And so sometimes individuals see dating as an opportunity to sort of boost their status in society. You've seen this in the celebrity world too, right? Where individuals are tracking celebrities and who dates who. Now, early on, however, dating may lack depth and true intimacy. And that's not a knock on dating at a young age. But think about that when you're younger now, and hopefully you've learned this through maybe an interview or two, or you've seen this in other examples of relationships with individuals who are older, all right, is you begin to know, one, what you want, and you begin to also know what you don't want. And the older we get, we tend to focus more on intimacy and values in a partner. And over a period of time, we may focus slightly less on other factors, such as things like income, physical appearance, and all of those things. And so the process of dating and its function really evolve as we continue through the lifespan. Now, later in life, intimacy may become, with a search for marital partners. And so usually when you are a little older, you might be looking for, if you're interested in finding a marital partner, dating serves that function and takes on a different role, dating at, late 20s, early to mid 30s, than when you're dating in your early 20s. Or 16, 17, 18 years old, whatever the case is. Now I put these last two bullet points here to create a perspective, right? Now, when we talk about dating, more often than not, we think about dating as it relates to us. And if we don't fall into other groups, remember privilege, if we don't consider, right, that what's a problem, there is no problem because it's not a problem for us. If we don't identify as LGBTQ plus, then, we forget that, for example, a gay or lesbian individual, they may feel pushed sort of to date outside of their preferred partner's identity, okay? Or they may not be able to find many partners willing to identify themselves as gay or lesbian simply because there may be a fear of social stigma, repercussions, rejection, whatever the case is. Now, for immigrant individuals, right, dating can look entirely different, right? If you come to this country from another country, individuals within their families may feel controlled by their family on who to date in order to preserve their cultural roots, right? And so at times, you may hear of immigrant children saying, I want to date outside of my race, and their family not citing a reason that could be, let's say racist in nature, but may say, we're a whole lot comfortable if you date someone within your race, simply because we know the cultural norms, we know the tradition, we don't want you to lose um, um, your connection to your roots. And so these are just a few examples of the function of dating and how dating changes throughout the lifespan. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and lighten up the mood. In the next slide, what we're going to do is watch a short video on dating. This is purely just to kind of clue us into this topic. This covers dating at the early part of the lifespan, right? When we in the newer stages of not only just dating someone that we've not met, but also in dating in general. And so this video is funny because instead of watching an actual first date and the awkwardness of that take place, what we're doing here is this particular date has been translated, not to discuss what are these superficial discussions that we have, but literally to highlight the awkwardness of what a first date can feel like. So enjoy the next video and then join me on the slide after that, after you've watched the short film.
Now. I don't remember what you look like.
I am pretending to be busy, but I am literally Instagram stalking you.
Hi. You don't edit your photos.
You do.
Doing my job.
Oh, ordering something that makes me sound feminine yet strong.
Ordering something I memorized years ago to make a good first impression. Call back to a conversation we had online.
Oh, quick comment to let you know I'm on board.
Standard question about your life.
Generic answer, trying to hide my crazy. Thing that worked with other guys.
Things that worked with other girls.
Oh, thing that worked with other guys.
Thing that some girls actually like. Controversial joke to test the waters.
Negative reaction. Shutting this down.
Being nice to the waitstaff.
Not noted.
Awkward silence. Talking about the menu.
To avoid silence?
And ongoing
Conversations about our actual lives. That's what I was gonna say.
Hey, I'm gonna take the quickest poop I possibly can and tell you that it was a pee.
I'm gonna text all my friends and let them know this could be going better.
Lie about how long that line was.
Actually checking myself in the reverse camera.
Hey, joke at my own expense.
Teasing with humor.
Self-parodying with humor.
I am touching you right now to let you know that this is back on track. Jeez.
Trying to be valiant.
I'm mortified, but I'm playing it off as adorkable.
Oh, realizing I'm touching your leg and sexual joke.
Different sexual joke.
Trying to keep this energy going. Letting my guard down. Comfortable silence.
Sexual silence.
Okay. A reference to how much food is still on my plate.
Reference to how much food is still on my plate because
we are not comfortable eating in front of each other yet. Showing my protector quality and financial stability.
I'm accepting this general because it benefits me. Texting my friends to let them know that I like you.
Thinking about our future?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope you found that last video a little funny. That was one of those videos that I had seen a while ago. I think it was a training that I was doing on intimacy and relationships, and just thought it was something different, right, to consider in reference to the dating scene. So here's what I'd like you to do, just as a fun little activity, but also reflective activity as well. All right, so I'm going to ask you to go ahead and on a piece of paper, a Word doc, something like that. You're not going to turn this in. This is just for your own edification. Here is to make a list of the 10 most important traits or characteristics you are looking for from a partner. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to take this list and show it to anyone that you're talking to. I'm not going to post this anywhere. You're not even going to turn this in. Just what are the 10 most important traits or characteristics? Okay, and list them from being one being the most important to 10 being the least important, but still go ahead and give me your top 10. All right, now, normally what I would ask you to do is go ahead and share that list in terms of just connect and talk in groups over that. But obviously, we'll just be doing a self-reflection for today. So think about that for a second. You know, you can always put me on pause while you're generating your list. And then here's what I would like you to do, though. Imagine now that you've moved forward in your life, okay, by about 10 years. So whatever age you are now, advance that by 10 years. I'd ask you to reconsider, has anything on your list changed? Has anything on your list potentially been either less important, moved around in its order, or maybe some of those things don't matter and you'd like to update your list? Just think about that. And then one final stretch of the imagination. Let's say that you are later dating 15 years from now, right? 15 years. Okay. Do you think that that list might change any more from what it is today? Okay. The point of this activity, all right, is to go ahead and think about then how our priorities shift throughout our lives. And as our priorities shift, if we are still dating in those moments, our behaviors around dating shift as well. All right. And so after you're done with that little reflective activity, we can go ahead and jump into the next slide, in which we will discuss some statistics and related to dating currently for y'all to be aware of. Okay, what we're going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to give you some information related to dating. And I am going to focus for today's lesson on online dating. And the reason I'm going to do that is I know some of you are saying online dating, wow, I wouldn't try that. Other of you are thinking, well, I have tried that, and either it's gone well for you or has not gone well at all, whatever the case is. The point of the matter is, just a couple of short years ago, some statistics were recently released that officially, for the first time in the United States, over half of the folks interviewed, out of a very large number of folks interviewed, had stated that they had attempted, whether it was first time or not, to utilize online dating apps, websites, whatever the case is, platforms, as a means for finding a potential partner. And so what we saw in 2 years ago was the official shift in our culture, where now we could say that the majority of individuals have attempted, all right, to at least meet someone online at some point. And so I don't say this with the assumption that all of you are going to find your life partner, all right, online. But what I do want you to realize is, as society shifts and as this becomes the norm, statistically, at some point in your life, then you will probably at least search online for someone of interest. I think about this too, in the reality that my daughter, right, her dating life when she becomes older is going to look very different from my dating life when I was well, not a child, but a teenager, you know, moving into college. And so I think about that. And as I think about that, I wanted you to have some real statistics on dating and what's out there, so that you at least step into this world informed, right? So the question is, what do people use online dating for? And a lot of folks tend to think hookups, right? A lot of folks think of apps that lead to individuals hooking up purely and meeting for physical attraction and sexual intimacy. But only about 24% of individuals surveyed had stated that they were online to find hookups. 43%, All right, we're there to find friends. And here's the interesting thing that gives a little hope, right? 84% were there to find relationships. Now, this is important to understand though. Those 84% that were there to find relationships, it also matters where you go to look in your online platform, right? So if you're going to an online site that's there that is not designed for intimacy of a relationship, rather more for physical gratification, well, that's going to be entirely a different ratio that you're finding here, right? But in summary, the vast majority of individuals are still looking to find relationships via online dating. Now, 30% of individuals who are surveyed stated that they were between 18 and 29 years old. Okay, so we're talking about a crowd that's still relatively younger. What would be interesting to see is when they fall out of this category of 29, where are those individuals looking for relationships, and what may be drawing them away from online dating? That would be interesting to see, but just something to keep in mind, right? And 16% of individuals dating online make between 30 and 75K a year. That is a big number to see, but if you notice here, 75K dropping off again, another number, right? So individuals who are making more than 75K are creeping into six-figure incomes. Where are they looking for relationships? Just a fun fact, and I'll move off of this point. But there are individuals, websites designed, apps designed for individuals who are dating who make more than, or who make at least six figures a year. And the interesting thing about that is in order to even join the site as a prospective client, you need to provide some proof of income that you actually make that much money. So something just to share I thought is interesting in this world of online dating, right? So you're thinking, who uses online dating more? Some of you are right away like men use it more. And yes, you would be right. 62% of dating app users are men. 13% of American men have used a dating app or site versus only 9% of American women, okay? So again, we're seeing more men attracted to the platform of online dating. Looks versus common interest, right? So which one matters more? Remember, going back to your list, just kind of think about really quickly where that mattered for you. Where was that on your list, right? 64% of people stated in this survey that common interest mattered more than looks. Now, I don't know if that was necessarily truthful, but they had no reason to lie, right? 64%. And now, note, there could be differences, right, between new and experienced online daters. And so some of you are saying, well, in my experience, someone who maybe jumps onto an online platform, especially platforms in which there is a photo of a person and you select, I'm not going to give any names, but you know which ones I'm referring to, where you swipe right or left, whether or not you are going to express an interest in that individual or not. All right, those are heavily focused towards appearance. However, it's also important to note that if we're first time or less experienced online daters, we may be looking for looks more. But also consider, remember, lifespan, as you move along in your life, priorities change. And so if you are an older adult, okay, and you're in middle adulthood or even adulthood, okay, what you're considering then is maybe priorities of common interests matter more, right? And so here's what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some socio-emotional patterns of mate selection, right? In lifespan development, there is a physical and a cognitive reaction to who we select as people that we are interested in pursuing and dating, right? Men and women first judge off of attractiveness when pursuing further contact. As much as we say right here that common interests matter, and to which they do for creating long-term intimate relationships, it's important to note that we're still a human being, we're still an animal species. And in order to drive an animal species function of perpetuating, right, our existence of procreation, then there's certain things that need to take place, one of which is physical attraction. Physical attraction and libido or desires around that are matters that promote individuals of meeting and getting along with one another and then dating, right? Men tend to prefer a younger mate and assign a greater value to physical attractiveness and domestic skills. I'm sure some of you thought that already. And these are thought to be attributes that signify fertility and the ability to care for offspring. Now, it's interesting that what we see from women is women tend to be more cautious and choosy than men, right? And generally more women assign greater importance to earning potential intelligence, height. Okay, I'm sorry, that was earning potential, intelligence, height, and moral character, and seek mates who are the same age or slightly older, and characteristics that may increase the likelihood that a woman's offspring may survive and thrive. So you see, these are very primal, instinctual factors that exist within a human species simply because we are animals and we are still looking for certain things to take place. Now, again, these are traditional. It doesn't verify that everyone is looking for this from a relationship. But when we see patterns of mate selection in the human species, these are two critical functions that individuals are looking for based on gender from a binary approach. Okay, now a couple of things to think about in the process of discussing online dating and the platform of utilizing online dating apps, websites in order to connect with a potential partner are to consider the degree of falsification of information representing ourselves online, right? And so here are some recent statistics just to be aware of and to be careful about, right? When engaging in an online inquiry, right, as to someone that you may be interested in. Uh, Men tend to lie about money the most in online dating platforms. About 40% of men lied about their position at work, income, in the direction of being more successful than they actually are. Okay. Women tended to lie more about age on their online platforms. About 20% of women have used a photo from when they were younger to represent themselves later in their lifespan. Now, here's a disturbing number, and this is something to consider, especially when looking for someone and getting to know them, and trust is foundational to the makings of any long-term relationship, right? So, of the 62% of online users, 51% are married and 11% are in a relationship. Okay. Now, on Tinder specifically, 42% of those users currently have a partner. 30% were married and 12% were in a relationship. So, some of you may say, well, I'm not really entirely surprised by that fact, given Tinder's design on what it's for. And you would probably be right, right? Given what Tinder is intended to do, then these stats may not be all that surprising. This is the one that's interesting to me, right? Over half, significant percent of over half are married or in relationships. And that's a concern, right? Now, there are some reasons to be safe, okay? And so just some things. And again, I don't use these as scare tactics. That's not why I'm sharing these with you. I do this because now that over half the population has utilized dating platforms online or via websites or apps to engage in searching for a partner, the reality is it's important to keep these things in mind so that you're safe, right? So online hookups have been on the increase due to accessibility, the ease of connectedness through online platforms for dating. 4 out of 5 sexual encounters did not involve condoms, and STI rates are up across the country. In particular, we've seen a resurgence of syphilis, not only in the South, where sometimes those numbers tend to dominate statistics, but also here in California and parts of the Midwest. 1 in 4 online daters have reported being IM'd or messaged by someone on a dating site who made them feel uncomfortable or harassed. So sometimes individuals believe that for some reason, since they are interacting with someone in a virtual platform, they can go ahead and say some things that they would probably never say to a person who's sitting in front of them. And so just be aware, right, that there are those individuals who are out there that lack a filter when expressing themselves in an online platform. Online dating scams have cost victims $50 million, ranging from helping from the heart, right, sextortion, and costs associated with site removal of content, right? So another thing to keep in mind, dating looked very different at my age than at your age. And so one thing to consider is, literally all the stuff that you do on a date can be recorded. That stuff can be placed on the internet, and it is, can't even find the word to describe how extremely difficult it is to remove some of that content, if not impossible. And so just something to keep in mind, right? 1 in 10 profiles are fake online. 1 in 10 sex offenders are on a dating site, and online predators commit about 16,000 abductions, 100 murders, and thousands of sexual assaults each year. I have worked with young women, unfortunately, in my role as a social worker, who have been lured by predators to meet them online. They were underage, and they were assaulted by men who were preying on these young women as a result of that. And so I would just, I'll let you know, please be careful in the process. Now, let's switch over to some lighter trends. So all of you know, and I'm sure you're familiar with the newest trends in dating and terms, and or some of you may have never heard these before. I update this list every year when I teach this lesson because I think it's just fascinating. And so if these are something that are familiar to you and you already know these, then nothing new here. But if you've never heard these are the hot dating trend terms for 2020, right? Just so you're up on the current lingo, right? When you go on that date. And so dial toning, for example, right? Dial toning, I don't know if you've heard of that term before. It's like ghosting, but it occurs even earlier. So it's when you give someone your number and they reach out to you and you never reply. Okay, so that's not the other person never replying, that's you never replying. 60% of singles have experienced being dial toned. Okay, and so that's kind of the reverse, right, of ghosting. So you're the one initiating, you're saying, hey, I'd like to give you my number. They seem interested, they reach out, and then you just ignore them. Yellow carding, for example, when you call out a date for a bad behavior, a questionable view, or general rudeness, we just referred to that back in my day as checking someone. This is yellow carding. So we switched from hockey to soccer. That's absolutely fine. Flea bagging. Don't know if you've heard of that, but that's when someone constantly dates the wrong type of person for themselves. They're always making that bad choice in partner. And so that would be flea bagging. White clawing. Not sure if you've heard that, but white clawing has been popular in terms of that term out there in society lately. When you stay with someone you're not interested in purely because they are attractive. That's it, just for looks. 20% of people say they're with someone they think is boring because they think they are attractive. And so they said, hey, I'm willing to change or trade personal interest and compatibility for looks. And so again, remember what we stated, early on in our dating lives and in our lifespan development, we tend to date sometimes also for status. And so that's something to consider here. Maybe that's a portion of why that's playing out that way. Cosplaying, right? And so this isn't costume playing, this is cosplaying. When you end a relationship with someone and they contact you weeks or even months later asking you for a favor, 61% of people have experienced this. And finally, this one right here, so sad and happens to a lot of folks early on in the dating phase, glamboozled. You've been glamboozled, right? When you get dressed up, look snazzy for a date, and your date cancels or asks to reschedule last minute. 58% of singles have gone through this. I am so sorry if you've been glamboozled in the past. That's not a great feeling. And so these are the current terms for 2020 dating. Again, I hope that you felt like this lesson was applicable not only to lifespan development, to consider dating throughout the lifespan, but also for your own lives. So I hope you found the information useful. On the next slide, we will go ahead and move forward with our centering, and we will close out today's lesson. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close out today's lesson with our centering. As always, I want to say thank you so much for all of you being so engaged in the lessons, and I truly appreciate that. I really do. Our centering focus scripture for today comes from Jeremiah 29. I know many of you have heard this particular scripture verse before, and it's one of my faves, right? So in Jeremiah, we learn, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future." As you move through your lifespan and you start to feel as though maybe you're lacking direction in your life, Maybe you're feeling like your purpose is lost, right? And your compass is sort of spinning. Rest assured, right? Have faith in this scripture verse, that the Lord has plans for you, right? And it's to prosper you, not to harm you, and to give you hope and a future, right? And so our focus word for today will be faith. Faith is our focus word. So let's go ahead and make sure our hands and feet are in a nice comfortable position. Let's go ahead and try to push out any of those worries or concerns, those thoughts, those feelings that you have that may be distracting you from the fact that God's present with you in this moment. And we can lift up all of our concerns as well as our joys, right? And our thankfulness to God in this moment. Let's go ahead and take that nice deep breath. Let's close our eyes, and I will keep track of the time. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. Take that nice deep breath and come on back. I want to say thank you all so much for joining into the lesson today. I truly appreciate your participation. I don't know if any of you are fans of Park and Rec, but I love that particular show. And so we already know here, Mr. Ron Swanson's not big into goodbyes and so, or speeches. So goodbye. So I want to say thank you. Please continue to check Blackboard for any assignments, due dates that you have coming up. I'm more than happy to respond to any emails or messages that you need from me. And I want to say thank you so much. You remain in my prayers. I'm praying for you all daily. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next lecture.